Hmm.
Hello, everybody. We have a guest today, a very dear guest. The voice would be Golos. I almost said it in Russian because she's bilingual. She can speak the same language we speak here regularly, which is Russian. Добрый вечер. Estee Palti. Добрый день. Estee Palti с нами сегодня. Еще даже утро.
Добрый день. Thank you for having me.
I'm amazed at your productivity, and you were a real discovery of those years that brightened internet for so many people on the right side of history. And how did it happen?
It happened, just accidentally during the pandemic. I've spoken about this in a few interviews. I'm a nurse by trade. I wasn't on any social media at the time. I wasn't really very active in it. And during the pandemic, when everybody was very bored, I decided to download TikTok. And first I started, like comedy skits, 90s movies, films, just whatever, just a skit comedy, just for fun. And when I did a video once of Kamala Harris, an impression, Mr. Ezra Levant of Rebel News. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's the CEO of Rebel News Australia, USA, Canada. He's a very big independent journalistic company. And he loved the impression. He loved it. And he said, listen, I know you're not, a professional actress or anything, but if you can continue doing these, let's work together. I just really want to see what you can do. And that's it. And I continued. And the more Kamala Harris opened her mouth, the more work I had.
Fantastic. That famous laugh, I think it will outlive Kamala Harris. It did actually in the public view. And you continued. What happens when things like this take place and you're based on a character that's kind of fading away? Are you waiting for her to run for president in 2028?
Believe it or not, I did think that she would fade away. She did for a very, a small window. She kind of was, after that heavy loss, she kind of disappeared. She was a little bit hidden for a little while, licking her wounds, I'm sure, licking the bottom of her Hennessy bottles. But when Trump took over and everything started moving, despite the fact that she came away from the spotlight, there's a very big demand still for her. I kind of tried to leave that trajectory. I started kind of doing different impressions. I did, Jasmine Crockett a couple of times, but my own path kind of changed where I took this like small turn where I started discussing, real politics. And there was a lot to talk about after October 7th, the end of the election. And every once in a while, especially now, because she wrote a book and she came out on a book tour, every time she pops her head back up, the demand gets insane. So right now, currently, like I do TikTok lives. I stay in her character, but I meet a bunch of different people. And we, the demand is crazy, Yuri. I'll be honest with you. I assumed that it would just go away, leave me alone. But she continues to haunt me, whether I wanted to or not. The demand is there. I still have cameos requesting videos of her, it's still there.
Yeah, I'll just retype your name so people would see where they can see your, I hate to call it work. Is it work?
It is work at this point. Okay. Yeah, it's a full-time job. It's a second job. It's a second career, second hobby, second everything. But it's Mommy RN 88. And I'm on YouTube, on Instagram, Facebook. It's the same handle. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Yeah.
Mommy 88.
Mommy RN 88. MOMMY RN 88.
Mommy RN, right? RN.
Have you been drinking, Yuri? Have you been drinking? Because
I didn't know for a few hours I have not.
If I knew we were going to be drinking together, I would have brought the vodka.
Yeah. I cannot laugh at the same time with you. Trust me.
It's like talking to Joe Biden, ladies and gentlemen. If y'all are listening, those were some of the hardest years of my life, really. So it's MOMMY RN 88.
And why RN? Okay, got it.
So I'm assuming, Mr. Yuri, that you voted for my nemesis, Donald Trump.
And why RN? Like so. Are we good now?
Yes, we are.
All right. So how did that?
No, I'm so sorry. Mommy, no NY. No NY. Take out the
No.
NY.
Okay. I was doing because there were complaints about not being able to see us on YouTube. That's why I was dealing with that. I'm not that. I mean, I operate equally effectively, deadly, drunk or not. I tested.
Same for me, my brother. Same for me. Drunk or not, I operate.
So you are from Uzbekistan originally?
I'm from Tajikistan.
Tajikistan. Where in Tajikistan? Dushanbe?
Dushanbe.
Oh. И по-русски вы говорите?
Да.
Ну, отлично, слушайте, здорово. Давайте порадуем наших русскоязычных зрителей.
Пожалуйста.
Вы знаете, что я не могу простить демократам, в принципе, помимо многих других вещей, но это та вещь, которая переживет века. Это то, что они воевали с комедией, с юмором американским, что они с ним сделали, и что они сделали с тем страхом, который они вселили в сердца людей. Потому что масса разговоров в Америке, в России, в Украине о том, что как социализм вот шагает по планете и как люди депрессированы и боятся того, что за ними придут. Было ли у вас такое чувство?
100%. Я когда начала вот это все делать, моя мама родная сама, она говорит, если, не дай бог, она выиграет, я очень боюсь, что с тобой станет. Она говорит, я не понимаю, какие здесь законы стали, почему это все меняется. Ну, факт, что ты как комедию это делаешь, что на Советском Союзе это было невозможно было бы сделать. Ты не имеешь права там на президента, на вице-президента, на кого-то надсмеивается там. И потому что у нас законы очень резко здесь меняются. Не дай бог, если она выиграет. Слава богу, ко мне, что она не выиграла, но это не только от нее зависит. Это демократы, это ошибку, которую они делают. Мы это сейчас видим в Париже, в Лондоне. Там, если кто-то напишет что-то неправильно на social media, как они считают это неправильно, они сразу за ними приходят, они дают штраф, они даже имеют право брать этих людей в тюрьму бросать. Сейчас этот Мамдани выиграл в Нью-Йорке, я тоже не знаю, что будет, честное слово. Мы очень здесь переживаем. Но в конце я считаю, что наши люди должны, люди как я, люди, которые видели, что такое коммунизм, Cubans, Venezuelans, мы все должны сейчас на самом высоком плане должны кричать насчет эту тему и говорить, что вы не понимаете, что это такое. Если вы бы это поняли, вы никогда бы не разрешили, чтобы это произошло в нашу страну.
Yeah, in the United States, it's very important, and sometimes people don't understand. They say you just talk, you don't do anything, you don't go to the barricades. But here, it's a lot with our laws that we have here, with general understanding between people. I spoke with so many Uzbeks. I'm from Tashkent, so I spoke with Uzbeks, and I said, "Listen, I even learned some Uzbek words to Ahmak Musan or." Аклингиз Joydama, вы что, с ума сошли? Are you crazy? You came to the United States. You were admitted to the United States. You built prosperous businesses here in the United States. As Muslims, you can do anything. Your wives can wear anything. And you are voting for Mamdani, for a person who's like doesn't even have a shahada, this little thing on his forehead from going to mosques and being spotted with liquor in his hand, etc., etc. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. People mislead themselves so much, but that will straighten up, I believe, because business, the dollar almighty, will set the mind straight.
I hope so, because this is something that they're setting the blueprint for. That is my fear, that Mamdani, New York is just a trial. This is what they're going to be watching very closely. They want to see if this will work. And then they're going to start implementing more Muslim mayors across other cities in America. That is my firm belief, because only two different types of people voted for Mamdani. It's the people that understand exactly what he is and who he is. Somebody full-blown practicing taqiyya. For your viewers that are listening, if you don't know what taqiyya is the belief that you are encouraged and allowed to lie in the name of Islam to make Islam get more ahead. So if you need to not wear a burqa and a covering with the idea that this is going to further progress Islam in that nation, you are allowed to do that. And I believe that Zoran Mamdani is actually practicing taqiyya. The other kind of person that voted for Zoran Mamdani is the suicidal sympathists, the people that the left that has this suicidal empathy for these people that, you know, they throw this propaganda on us and they say, oh, feel bad for me, we're the victims, we want to assimilate. They do not want to assimilate, and that is going to be the destruction of the West. If these people don't figure it out quickly, that is not a side that assimilates. This is exactly what you just said. They come here and they voted for Mamdani for a reason. They are, you know, they leave there because they don't have any freedoms, but they come here to exploit our freedom. They don't love this country. They're very open about destruction of the West. They're very open about wishing death to America, death to the Jews, death to Israel. They combined Israel and America and Western values all together under one. And for me, it is amazing to see people in America themselves screaming, globalize the intifada, especially we see it across the college campuses. And I at this point now, you know, I cannot sit here and be worried about it. We all have to live our life. We have jobs, but we have to watch Zoran Mamdani very carefully, and we have to fight to keep our city the way it is.
I'm sure he's being watched, and I mean, we are watching him, and we are not going to bend down, just like, you know, the other side. We'll see who's more resilient to all this crap, you know, that they pour onto us. And our people here, where I live in Shipshead Bay, it's the reddest area as of this moment. We have Ina Vernikov, a Republican who already has met with Elise Stefanik. Yeah, she's fantastic. She's a warrior, and she tackles the global issues, which of course is locally it could be a problem, and it is, because people say, what about the garbage, what about the rats, etc., etc. And on the other end of the spectrum, we have anti-Semitism and the Jews being oppressed here to a degree that it moves a lot of people out of the city. And here that some people are packing. Of course, businesses already are saying, "Are you moving? Are you moving?" We have,
of course, because they know after de Blasio, nobody wants to sit here and wait for another 4 or 5 years until this corrects itself. If he's going to start defunding the police, we already know the result. I know so many people of our own kind that are packing their bags. They're not even going to wait. They're like, I'm not doing this. I'm not entertaining this. I know cops leaving the force, taking out early pension, whatever it is. They're like, I'm not going to entertain this even, because we already know what's coming. Even if we are going to be able to get rid of him, or, you know, he's not going to win a re-election, we don't even want to entertain it. It's not going to be safe, because he's going to embolden all of these anti-Semitic people that live amongst us. He already has, and it's going to get a lot more worse.
Yeah, it's an interesting turn for a party that was built by largely the Jews here in the United States, and that's an interesting turn that they merged with this deadly strain of modern politics. Let me ask you, why do you think there was such a poor performance on behalf of Andrew Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa? They were both in the public, you know, field for so long. They both are experienced speakers. I had them both on my channel. After I had Sliwa, people said that we're going to vote for him. And I also thought that he's a better candidate in terms of his human qualities, and he doesn't have this, you know, Democratic pedigree, which is not a big plus for us all. But Cuomo came over, and the story was interesting, because the friend of mine called and he said, "Did they call you from Cuomo campaign after we had a stream with Sliwa? Because they're going to call you." And I said, "Come on, get out of here. It never happened. You know, I'm here in Brooklyn, sitting here in my little room, and my little cap and my little T-shirt, etc., and huge big microphone." So they called and he came, and I think he did the best interview he ever gave, because it was in his kitchen. He was sitting, he was saying all the same words that he used to say before, but it was in human tone. And after I heard him, I said, listen, we can talk about our souls as long as we want. Our souls are ours, or they're God's, whatever your religion is, whatever your view is. But it's politics, it's numbers. We have to vote for Cuomo to stop Mamdani. Yes. Same thing should have been done by everybody else, and first and foremost by them too. They should have joined and very publicly announced that they are joining forces, because they understand what socialism is. And they could not overstep this. they
Yeah.
had to state their own, how they call
Very
it.
unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. The Zoran Mamdani should not even have won the primary, if I'm being honest with you. I personally did a lot of work with the district leader, David Aronoff, a lot of other people, just community members, volunteers. We tried registering as many people as possible just to be able to vote in the primaries, because a lot of people, sadly, they don't know the law in this country. And in New York State, you have to be registered Democrat to vote in the primary. That's just the way it is. And in order to be involved and have a voice, you have to do that. That was the first misstep. I believe the numbers are 559,000 people only voted in the primary. We have 8 million residents in New York. You had 500,000 people come out total in a primary election. So that was the first mistake that we made. I will give it to the voters. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt in the fact that during that time, the 9 days people were voting during the primary, that was the time of the war. It was the time that Israel was getting bombed, Iran, that whole situation. A lot of people were stuck, if you remember, in Israel, and a lot of Israeli people were stuck here. Yeah. So I know a lot of people in our specific districts in New York State, in the 5 boroughs in New York City, a lot of people didn't even come out for the primary because they said, oh my God, it was just madness. I couldn't do it. The second step, the GOP is such a failure, okay? And I say this, I'm a conservative. I'm very openly conservative. You couldn't get somebody else. You couldn't get one qualified person. I agree, Sliwa had the best intentions at heart. I truly, truly agree with that. But at the end of the day, we need to be a little bit more realistic with how the world has changed in the past 40, 50 years. Sliwa is still talking about the guardian angels that he started many years ago. It was a phenomenal, phenomenal thing that he did. The guardian angels, they kept Americans safe, kept New Yorkers safe. New Yorkers want to feel that safe feeling again, but I did not see a powerful campaign behind him, nor did I see a powerful campaign behind Cuomo. I endorsed Cuomo for the very reason that you spoke. I typically will never sit here and try to tell people, vote for someone that you don't like just to make sure that that person doesn't get into office, because a lot of people did that with Trump, if you remember. A lot of people didn't vote for Trump. They voted for Kamala simply because they hated Donald Trump. And I remember thinking, how can you vote for this hyena that you don't like? There's nothing that comes out of her mouth that you support, but you openly are stating that you will emotionally invest your vote and your opinion into somebody that does not deserve it simply because you want to keep that candidate out of office. This was a very extreme circumstance for a lot of people with Mamdani, because they actually did the exact same thing, myself included. I did not want Cuomo. I did not want him, but I truly, firmly believed, and I believe a lot of people will agree with me here, New York City could have survived another term of Cuomo. At the end of the day, he had experience. He didn't lead the city into the ground. He just handled the COVID badly. He really handled that situation badly. His character is also, I'm not a fan, the sexual assault allegations, all that stuff to the side, though. He had experience. We could have survived a term of Cuomo. A term of Mamdani, I don't know that we will be able to survive. We still don't know what's going to happen. He's going to be sworn in January 1st. We still don't know what's going to happen. But when it comes down to the mayoral race, it was not well done, because if it's going to be split to 3, we genuinely had no chance. Even with record turnout, even if you added Sliwa's numbers to Cuomo's at this point, Mamdani had a very strong campaign. Why? For the exact reason I just stated. It's rooted in hatred against Donald Trump. His entire base hates Donald Trump. A lot of his base hates Israel. They want our funding pulled out of Israel, despite the fact that America and Israel are side by side, and Israel is helping us beat all of our enemies in the Middle East. But that's besides the point. I don't want to get into like a debate about that, but this is what I'm trying to explain. He had a very, very powerful campaign. He had a lot of money poured into his campaign. He has a lot of support, and he did things correctly from the beginning. The Democrats are very smart when it comes to swooping in. And, even someone radical like this, he came in because there were too many things around the GOP that fell apart, too many things around Andrew Cuomo. I mean, come on, at the end of the day, we couldn't get someone better than Andrew Cuomo. He was governor, and to step down to mayor, we couldn't get someone better this was allowed to happen. Zoran is younger than me. Zoran Mamdani is younger than me. And imagine the mindset across America right now. Any random person that hasn't even lived in America for 10 years, 5 to 10 years, who has Marxist ideology or ties to Student for Justice of Palestine, anybody can become mayor. Anybody. And I see social media, what it's filled with, and how bold these people feel now. And they're like, he's going to be president. You guys will see this is just the beginning. And that is all because of the failure of the GOP, And the fact that like they just cannot get their things together. They really can't. And the Democrats, the liberals, they eat and breathe this because they don't have anything else going for them. That's all I have to say about that.
Listen, Republican Party is Democrat Party is a real party.
Yeah.
Those are people who
I mean,
organize
they're losing it.
24/7 elections
Yeah.
or not. They look for chance to connect. They resist whatever they find out for themselves to resist to, and they organize. They do entertainment for people, which I know I haven't been. I have been on 2 events organized by one, a Republican senator here in Brooklyn, Marty Golden. He's not in the Senate anymore, but he did some concert in the park. Period. Nothing interesting is happening in the Republican Party in New York.
Yeah.
Except
the
for
problem.
cocktails in the Young Republicans Club, where they
Yep.
dress up sharply and they shook hands and they slapped shoulders, etc., and other places areas of anatomy. But
It's just weaker. 100%. I agree with you. It's very weak. It's like for me, it's embarrassing, the GOP sometimes the way they are. And sometimes ego has become too big here, because if I verbalize this, and I have verbalized this to somebody that I was talking to, and he immediately said, "Oh, you're a traitor. You're turning your back on the GOP." I said, no. You guys are all forgetting how this works. The GOP turned their back on the voters. That's the bottom line here. Okay, we sit here and we support these people, and they cannot get it together at the end of the day. Why are we paying our taxes? Why are we voting these people in? And Kathy Hochul, I really hope she gets primaried out now. And she just gave us a beautiful opportunity to do so. So because I'm on your platform, Yuri, I am going to use it for this. Everybody listening, you need to get registered, and you need to be involved in the midterms. The midterms are going to be a very big deal, and they're going to be very definitive in what happens in New York going forward. At the end of the day, Mamdani is only a mayor. We see a lot of mayors in smoke, but without the state, without the governor that's going to play ball with him, he's really not going to be able to push out his policies that are radical if we're this involved. So, midterms are going to fly. It's going to fly. Time is flying. I don't want there to be this mass panic again 3-4 weeks before elections where people are not ready. People don't know what to do. It's time for our communities. And we spoke about this in the beginning. You're from Uzbekistan, Tashkent. I'm from Tajikistan. I'm here 30 years, 32 years. It's mind-boggling to me how our communities are not as involved as they should be. The community that you're in is probably a little bit more involved, Yuri. The community that you're I know that the Russian Americans here, that they've lived here even for probably a little bit longer than the Buharians, but they are a little bit more inclined to be involved, especially when they see situations like this. My community, I am sorry to say, it is like talking to a wall. It's constantly brand new information for them every single time there's an election. What do I do? Where do I go? And that's fine. We're here to educate. The younger generation is here to try to educate. But at this point, now that Zoran Mamdani did win office, I will sit here and say it is unacceptable. This happened because of the lack of involvement from our community, and they are waiting for someone to come and save them. I don't know. I can't tell you how many people I've come across that said, "Don't worry, Trump is going to save us." What are you going to do when Trump's out of office in 2.5 years? Trump is not your savior. Stop idolizing anybody. Nobody's coming to help you. These are state and local elections. You are, and people think that they're rigged or they don't matter or this or that. Get involved. There are ways to be involved. And it's disgusting. The things that I hear, I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't like politics.
I never vote. I like it the most. I never vote. I never voted, and I will never. I never will.
You have to be involved. You have to be involved. It shapes everything that we live and breathe and eat. And look how radical it becomes. Before things were kind of in a middle beam. Life was great. Everybody went on about their day. Oh, we have elections. Oh, that's great. I'm sure they'll pick someone fantastic. It's very extreme now. We have extreme right and extreme left. And you better be careful because both of those sides are very, very dangerous in their own ways. You understand?
Yeah, I understand they try to make it personal too, but let me make it personal as well for them, because one of the successes that Donald Trump has as a president twice, and some say, I mean, I like including myself, 3 times he won the elections.
100%, yes.
But he had, literally speaking, even being a billionaire, nowhere to go if he loses. It was the highest stake. His family was at stake. His fortune was at stake. His life was at stake itself. And the Cuomo and Sliwa, they just, what they're going to do? They think that there was life after this election. So, okay, I'll go back to my microphone.
I agree with you. It's also the type of person that Donald Trump is. I really And I'm not one to idolize him. I love Donald Trump. I love what he does for the country, but he's a human just like anybody else. And I can tell you that he's one of my biggest inspirations of how he deals with adversity, the way he deals with his enemies, just to have that drive to keep going after you get kicked and after you get beaten down and your kids are impacted, your grandkids are impacted, your legacy is impacted, your pockets are impacted. And he never falters. He's just going to get back up, and he's going to get back up, and he's going to get back up. And we need to sit here and give the credit where it's due. Not many people have these qualities. Trump is a genuine underdog, and he is somebody that he cannot stay down. It's not in his character. And you're absolutely right. But stakes were high. But I do want to underline that Sliwa, this is why I didn't believe that Sliwa had a chance. Some people were like, oh, but we flipped the state before. And I said, those were in the 4 or 5 instances that had happened. We had a Republican in office in New York. They were extraordinary cases and extraordinary selections. Sliwa is just not extraordinary. And I'm not saying that to be mean, or I'm just trying to be realistic, that at the end of the day, when it comes to politics, that's why politics are dirty. Sometimes you have to go against the person that, would probably make New York much better, obviously. But you have to play chess in these situations. And a lot of people didn't play chess either. They were like, no, you can't turn your back on the Republican Party. We have to give Sliwa a fighting chance. And I said, listen, it's your vote. Do with it what you will. But I believe that Sliwa should have dropped out, and there should have been behind Cuomo to try to go ahead and make sure that we secure New York City and save it. Because now at this point, prevention is easier. But now we're going to have to fight. And it's okay, because maybe we need this fight. Maybe this needs to happen to flip the state red. You know what I mean? I'm trying to see it in a way with the more radical he is, the better. This will not fly, and we will be able to flip the state red. That is my hope at this point.
For sure, it's a test to the system, to the resiliency of the American laws and rules and things that have to happen, like this raid that I spoke on my channel a number of times when on Canal Street, when 9 Africans were arrested by ICE for selling how they call it, the fake bags, right, ladies' bags, for cheap. Of course, it's fake. Everybody knew it was fake, so they were arrested. And they started already saying that Jessica, I read it in the Daily News that Jessica Tisch, the police commissioner, sorry, I didn't drink. I haven't had a drink yet.
That's all right, Yuri, because when I drink, I have to make sure I got a chaser so that I don't forget what I'm saying. Please go on.
All right. Yeah. It's just, I'm not forgetting. It's just the tongue. That's my language. So she knew about this raid a few hours ago or before it happened, and she notified the police not to interfere. So I think this is the first move to get her removed in the eyes of the Democrats. So yes, the promise of keeping Jessica Tisch as a police commissioner will be poof on January 1st.
I hope so.
She may leave earlier, but that's already the groundwork that's being laid out by the media, and the media is on the side of the political forces that, except for some exceptions on Fox Channel, right, and of course the channels like OAN, like Rebel is Canadian, and they're fantastic. And Ezra Levant was attacked recently, right?
Oh yes.
It was like this where how's the mood in Canada if you're online with them, communicating with them?
Canadians constantly, it's Canada, it's Australia, the ones that are, more or less the sane ones left, they say like, don't allow this to happen. You don't understand what we're going through. It's like, it looks like Baghdad at times. There are places here that, there are no safe zones for women at this point. It's horrible. And I see it. And it's crazy because we see it more because of where we come from, and it's very difficult to try to bring this to the internet without seeming Islamophobic. I'm at the point where I do not care. I've had this issue already with liberals, with progressives for quite a while. The name calling is a tactic. They're very, very conniving. They like to gaslight. And when you are addressing a concern that is genuinely concerning, they will sit there and say, no, you're being Islamophobic. If I'm Islamophobic because I don't want something bad to happen to myself and my family, and I don't want to give these people power when you want to defund the police, then call me Islamophobic. I'm totally okay with that mindset. But what I see is a very dangerous red-green alliance, because this is what happened in Iran. before the Ayatollah basically took over. This is exactly the same thing that was happening. And if you pay attention to what he's talking about, how beautifully he has them hypnotized. Okay, he wants to decriminalize prostitution. That one is an interesting one to me, because how do you keep the Muslim vote? How do you keep the Muslim support when they know that you're going to decriminalize prostitution, which is haram? How do you know when you know, how do you keep the Muslim vote when he is telling you that taxpayer dollars are going to fund the transgender surgeries, that he's basically so radical left about these policies just to gain their trust? And the Muslims are okay with it. Do you want to know why they're okay with it? Because what they're seeing, what's the best way to destroy the West? Let them destroy themselves. He's coming into New York and telling these people, continue aborting at 9 months. Let's decriminalize prostitution. Let's bring the cartels to our neighborhood. Let's destroy the semblance of whatever life you have here that's left. Let's destroy the American house all the way, the family values. Let's destroy all of that. Let's destroy the cities, make them disgusting. Let's make a call for prayer 5 times a day. And that's how they snoop in. They swoop in when you have no more men left to defend your city. When the cops are gone, they're not going to sit here and come to help you. And that's how they swoop in and they take over. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life, because he founded Students for Justice in Palestine. So these are the same kids that are screaming, globalize the Intifada. They're going to be the first to go. So this red-green alliance, that's the only part of this that is very, very dangerous and very, very scary to me. And I really, truly hope that this next year with the midterms is going to help us and try to push him out as soon as possible, because we cannot have this in America. We just can't.
When they brought this documentary that they put together from the body cams or phones of those who attacked Israel on October 7th and caused all this massacre, etc., 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 I was there in this with this screening room in Manhattan. It was like SWAT team on every corner in New York, protecting those who came from being attacked, because on every corner of every block there was those symbols of the watermelon, etc., etc. And then I thought that it was terrible, it was horrible, and I felt I'm a filmmaker. I was making films back in Uzbekistan, and I looked at it and I thought it's of an old movie called The Clockwork Orange by Stanley Kubrick, that is about youth gangs in England, and it's a remarkable film in many ways, and it's classical, is being quoted here and there. And when they arrest the main criminal there, this Malcolm McDowell was playing him, and they made him they forced him to watch the most terrible documentaries about human casualties and tortures and everything. So they kept his eyelids up, so he couldn't close his eyes with special implements, whatever. So I was thinking, what would happen if this October 7 documentary would be shown in mosques, in community centers, so people won't be able to say it's fake. They won't be able to say it's all concocted. This is all American and Jewish propaganda. Zion is this and Zion is that. Just ask them if they want to watch it, if they want to screen it, even for like the elders or whatever, separate men, women, whatever way. Just ask to see it, because you need to know the facts.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
From what I know, it never happened. No one requested it. Say, I want to know the truth. I want to see this Zionist propaganda. Show it to me. I will disprove it. I will show them where they went wrong, where they faked it. No one asked about it. That's how I know. Where are the voices? Proud.
Yeah. We're living in a very narcissistic time as well, because when you almost expect a shock factor, I speak to a lot of these people, sadly, I antagonize them, so they constantly attack me. And I've had my share of conversations about October 7th. And there are the people that will throw it back in your face and they say, yeah, I watched it. Absolutely. I actually enjoyed it. That's resistance. What you were doing to them was a lot worse. What you guys were doing to them, since 1948, you took their land, this and that. I mean, it's gotten so bad that even with some people it's the difference now between good and evil. You put that in a room, there are going to be some people that are sick to their stomach, that are like, oh my God, I finally see the truth. There's no way I can go, away with this. But sadly, And it's not going to be 1 or 2 people that you would think. Sadly, there's also going to be a big percent, a big chunk in that room that watches it and is completely okay with it. And I blame the internet. I blame they're desensitized, basically. They have this like lack of human point. You know, the first time I saw a very, very graphic video of a beheading, and this was years ago. This is when it first happened after 9/11. If you remember, with Daniel
Pearl.
Yes, Daniel Pearl. I was a child. I had no business watching that, but I watched it, and I remember it didn't leave my mind for such a long time. With the progression of the internet, I can tell you right now that I've seen some really horrible things, but it's a lot easier to tolerate because you see it over and over and over and over and over again. You kind of get desensitized, and sometimes now with AI, it's like maybe it's not even real. So the emotional factor of this, it's a big problem. How desensitized the youth has become, where they're almost colder. They have no empathy. They can actually sit there and make fun of somebody getting shot in the neck, like Charlie Kirk. I mean, we are going really, really south in the world when it comes to morals. And it's very scary because that is very dangerous. If we don't hold on to our humanity, then what's going to happen? If we have no more humanity left, I mean, that's it. It's gone. There's not going to be any right from wrong. There's no distinction. And that is where it's coming towards. And October 7th showed us that, how many people lack humanity and how many people choose to be comfortable rather than uncomfortable. They don't want to see it. They don't want to take responsibility for the fact that they possibly supported the other side. They're just going to turn a blind eye and say, no, it doesn't matter. Resistance, rape is resistance. I mean, look at the things that they've justified after October 7th, that apparently all of this is okay. All of this was justified. And these people believe that perspective. That's the sad part. They believe that Israel is actually the bad guy. And they believe that the terrorists are genuinely victims.
Yeah, but there is also this public aspect of this viewing. If people gather together, like I spend a lot of my time
Across the world. I agree.
in the movies, and there's a great movie, and the light goes on after. Lights up after the ending of the movie, and you see tears in other people's eyes, and you see them smiling, you see them crying, you see their emotions. Then it affects you, and it brings the movie, more meaning. In this case, we don't need more meaning to this movie than it currently can hold. But if there is a group viewing, because the problem is that we watch those things individually, and then we act on something that is, chemically concocted in our minds. Whereas we don't know the reaction of other people. We see the likes, we see the subscriptions, we see this and that. But basically, our information is far from complete, and it's underbaked, I would say.
I agree. We must bear witness. We must bear witness, and we need to continue to bear witness because, as you can see, there's even people that are starting to deny the Holocaust. Holocaust deniers have been around ever since the Holocaust, but our people, the Jewish nation, have done a fantastic job of keeping the memory of those people alive. And no matter how every few years a Holocaust denier is going to come out and it hits the media, Jews of this world have donated money to the museums to keep it alive. They make more films and they keep the memories alive because we must bear witness. And I really hope that the same trajectory follows for October 7th, because this is not something that should be forgotten. And every single person should watch that footage. I agree with you.
Dear Estee, am I right that you performed at Mar-a-Lago?
I didn't really perform. We did do like a quick skit, like by his on the sideline for President Trump. He wasn't president at the time, but it was a very nice invite. Yes, I did go to Mar-a-Lago with a team as Kamala Harris.
Listen, I have to say that unfortunately there was not enough laughs. But that's the moment we're in right now. And I hope next time we meet, we're going to have more fun in terms of, showing your multiple talents. And I admire your Spanish. I cannot do voices. I cannot do accents most of the time. They come to me naturally in the most unexpected moment. But I'm happy to have you here finally, and hope to see you again here on this channel when you have a moment. You're a very, very busy professional.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you having me. We finally were able to make it happen, and I would love to come back again and discuss more pressing issues.
Thank you so very much. There will be no lack of those issues.